Hello and welcome back. So in this section, we have covered all the main topics related to NgRx entity. But before we move to the next section and start learning about NgRx data, in this section, I also want to fix few issues which we have in our application. So for example, currently in our application, when we go to the courses state, so first of all, let me go to the home page. Let me reload the page. A user is already logged in. Let's open network tab. Okay, and let's clear everything here. Now here, actually, let me go to the Redux toolkit and you will see that currently the courses state has not been loaded. Now, when I go to the courses page, in that case, the courses state will also get loaded. And in this courses state, we have all the course entities. So currently we have 4 courses. So all those 4 courses you can see here. Right. So all the courses are already loaded and they are stored in the NgRx store. Now, let me go to network tab again. Let me clear everything here. And let's say I want to see the detail of one of the courses. I'll see the detail of this Angular course. So when I click on this detail button, it will take us to the detail page of Angular course. And you can see in order to fetch the detail for this course, it has made an API call. And if I click on this back to course button to see all the courses again, it is going to fetch all the courses again from the backend. But instead of doing that, since when we visited this courses page for the first time, it loaded all the courses and it stored it in the NgRx store. So next time when we are moving to the courses page, instead of again fetching it from the API, we can read it from the store directly. Right. So there is no need to make any API call when we are going to this courses page second time, when all the courses are already loaded and it is stored in the NgRx store, then we can directly read it from the store instead of making an API call. So this is what we are going to fix in this lecture. So for that, let's go to our application. And the first thing which we are going to do is, let's go to this courses folder, and in this courses folder, we have the state. So in this state, I'm going to create one more state property, which is loaded. And this is going to be a Boolean value. So what I want is, initially this loaded should be false. When our application loads for the first time, this loaded should be false. But as soon as all the courses are loaded and stored in the NgRx store, I want to set this loaded to true. So for that, I'm creating a new state property called loaded. Now, for this, we are not going to create any action, but in the reducer, what we are going to do is, once all the courses are read successfully from the backend, at that time, I'm going to set this loaded to true. So for that, what we are going to do is, here, I'm going to pass an object, and in that object, I'm going to extract all the existing state properties, and there I'm going to set loaded to true. Okay, when this loaded is true, that means all the courses has been loaded from the backend. And we are going to use this loaded property in order to check if all the courses are already loaded or not. If courses are already loaded, then we are going to read it from the store. Otherwise, we are going to make an API call to read all the courses from the backend. Let's save this file here. Next, we are going to create a selector to select the current value of this loaded state. So again, here I'm going to export a constant. I'm going to call it as select courses loaded. Okay. And to create a selector, we use create selector function. To this, we need to pass the initial state, the basically the feature selector, which is get course state as the first argument, and as the second argument, we need to pass a callback function. This callback function is going to receive the current state, and from that current state, here we are going to return state dot loaded. All right, let's save the changes. So we have created a state called loaded. We have modified our reducer where we are handling this read course success. So once all the courses are read successfully, Then we are setting this loaded to true. And now we are creating a selector for reading the current value of this loaded state. Now we are going to go to the effects. And in the effect where we are reading all the courses from the API, before reading it from the API, what we are going to do is, so first we are filtering read courses action. And after that, using this merge map, we are making an API call. Right, we are calling this read courses method of course service. But before doing this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the latest value of this loaded state. And for that, I'm going to use a method with latestFrom. And to use this, we need to import it from RxJS. And to this, we are going to pass this dot store dot select, and here we are going to select the current value of loaded state, and for that we have created a selector called select courses loaded, right? So we are going to pass select courses loaded to this select method, and we know that this select is going to return us an observable. So whatever will be the latest value returned by that observable, that we are going to read using this with latest from method, this with latest from operator. Now what we are going to do is, we know that this select courses loaded, it is going to return us a Boolean value. So it is going to return us the value of loaded state. It will be either true if all the courses are loaded, or it will be false if no course is loaded. So now whatever value is returned by this observable, we are going to filter it. So for that, I'm going to use this filter operator. To this filter operator, let's pass an array, and in this array, basically here I'm going to do destructuring syntax. So the observable which will be returned from here, it will have two values. It will have the action and the value of loaded property. Okay, let me put it in the comment like this. All right, so the value which this observable is going to emit, in that observable we are going to have an action and the value of loaded property. So we are not interested in this action, so here I simply want to ignore that value, and actually we should be using an arrow function like this, and inside that we are going to specify the array destructuring syntax. So here I want to ignore this action value, so I'll simply pass underscore here, but I want to store the value of this loaded property in a variable. So here I'm going to call it as loaded. Okay, and then from within this filter we are going to return not of loaded like this. Now what it will do, it will make sure that this merge operator and any other operator after this gets called only if this loaded is false. If the loaded is true, then we are not going to make an API call. So since we are using this not operator before this loaded, it is going to return false, and in that case this operator will not get executed. Okay, and finally what I'm also going to do is, we can use merge map here, but instead of merge map here I'll use switch map. Now why I'm using switch map? That's because let's say if multiple requests are made simultaneously from a client in order to fetch all the courses, then only one of them will be executed. So basically it cancels any previous ongoing calls. And with this, let's save the changes. So remember that in the effect we have added these two lines, and we have changed merge map to switch map, but you can also use merge map here, that is not a problem. But these two lines are important, where first we are getting the latest value of the loaded state, and then we are using this filter operator to check if the current value of loaded is true, then no need to execute any further logic. But if it is false, in that case we are going to execute this switch map in order to make an API call to read the data from the API. And with this, let's save the changes. Let's go to our application, and let me clear the network tab here. So let's go to the details of one of the courses, maybe the React course. So here, in order to fetch the details of this React course, it has made an API call. But now if I click on this back to courses button, you will notice that no API call has been made. Now the problem here is, You see, we have come to the courses page, but here it is only showing one course. Now, why is that? Let's also try to understand that. For that, we will have to go to Redux, and again, I'm going to reload the page here. Okay, so for the first time, an API call will be made in order to fetch all the courses. You can see in the courses entity, we have total 4 courses. So we can see the details of those 4 courses. But now, and here, let's go to the latest state. So you can see in the latest action which has been dispatched, there we have 4 courses. But now let's see the details of one of the courses. So I have opened Node.js course detail, and you will see if I scroll down and if I go to the latest action which has been dispatched, you will see that now in the entity, we have only one course. Other 3 courses are gone. And that's why when we are clicking on this back to course button, it is only showing that course in the course list. Now, why this is happening? Let's try to understand that. So let's go back to our application, and here we have read courses effect. And if I scroll down, we have also created an effect for get courses by ID. And in here, if I scroll down, you will notice that what I'm doing is, once we have read a course detail by its ID from the backend, I am dispatching this read courses success action. And there I am setting the courses list to this single object. If I go to our reducer, you will see that there we are using this SetAll method. So here, when I am returning a single course object, it is setting this entity, the courses entity, with that single object. And that is the problem. And because of that, we are seeing only one course after we come back from the course detail to the courses page. So here we need to modify this effect in order to return all the courses, or actually we don't need to update our courses entity at all. So what I'll try to do is, let me comment this line here, and from here, if I simply try to return an empty observable, let's see what happens. So like this, if I save the changes now, let's go back to our application, and we have an error. So what we will do is, we will not dispatch anything from here. And for that, here, I'm going to set dispatch to false. Okay. And from here, I'm not going to return anything. Let's save the changes now. Let's go back to our application. And now we do not have any error. Let's go to the details of a course. We can see the details of the course. Now, when I click on this back button, now we can see all the courses in the page. Let's go to network tab here. One more time, let's clear everything. So here, when I click on the detail button of one of the courses, it is making an API call. But when I click on this back button to go back to the course list, it is not making any API call. But if I go ahead and if I see the details of this course, again, it will make an API call. But all these courses are already available in the store. So now what I want is, whenever we come to the course detail page, and if the details of that course is already available in the store, like for example, the details of this Angular course or this Node.js course or React or JavaScript, it is already available in the store, in the NgRx store. So we do not need to make any API call to fetch the details, right? But if I go to the details page, you will see that every time we go to the details page, it is making an API call. So in the next lecture, we are going to fix this issue. This is all from this lecture. If you have any questions from this lecture, then feel free to ask it. Thank you for listening and have a great day.